In May 2012, director Ken Loach premiered his new film The Angels Share at the Cannes Film Festival. A comedy drama set in Scotland, the film centres around a young offender named Robbie, who sees an opportunity to change his life for the better through the theft of an extremely rare vintage whiskey. It was Loach's 11th film in 31 years to compete in the festival, and it went on to win the jury prize. However, the version of the film that was shown at Cannes was a censored version that had been specially prepared for British cinema-going audiences. Speaking of the film at a press conference at Cannes, the film's producer Rebecca O'Brien remarked,
"We have actually had to remove some words from the version that you have seen here so that it could be a 15. The language in the film is the language that these young people speak. It's completely natural, and I think if the BBFC are looking for diversity in Britain, they need look no further than this film and Glasgow. There are different ways of speaking, and that should be acceptable to all and should not be censored."
So how did this censored version of the film come about? The Angels Share was submitted to the British Board of Film Classification for a theatrical certificate by E1 Films, with a request for a 15 rating. Upon submission, the BBFC informed the filmmakers that the film would actually receive an 18 certificate for its amount of, what they term, very strong language. To put it plainly, the film contained too many uses of the word cunt to qualify for a 15 certificate. The BBFC guidelines, which are based on public consultation and revised every 4 years or so, stated at the time that
at 15, there may be frequent use of strong language, for example, fuck. The strongest terms, for example, cunt, may be acceptable if justified by the context. Aggressive or repeated use of the strongest language is unlikely to be acceptable.
Loach was bamboozled by the situation, remarking that discussions with the BBFC entered the world of surrealism. He went on to say that
we were allowed 7 cunts, but only 2 of them could be aggressive cunts. The British middle class is obsessed by what they call bad language, the odd oath they will ask you to cut, but the manipulative and deceitful language of politics they use themselves. So I think we should re-examine what we mean by bad language and have respect for our ancient oaths and swear words, which we all enjoy.
The film's screenwriter, Paul Laverty, also weighed in on the argument in the British press, remarking that the BBFC was insensitive to the context of the word's use.
"You wee cunt" is often a term of endearment, but the BBFC transpose it as if it were in a public address system at the Royal Opera. They take it out of context. They have an obsession with that word. There are many films they have given a 15 certificate to that I think are full of pornographic violence or racism or cruelty that is not fit for 15-year-olds, and they show that with no problem at all. So I think there is tremendous hypocrisy.
Journalist Brendan O'Neill, writing for the Daily Telegraph, also weighed in on the BBFC's decision to demand cuts of the film, remarking,
"The British Board of Film Classification gets balmier by the day. It now tells us that there's an acceptable and unacceptable way to say the word cunt. If, as in Ken Loach's new movie, The Angels Share, the characters in a film say that word in an aggressive fashion, then the film will be stamped with an 18 certificate. But if they were to utter the C word in a non-aggressive fashion, then the film could be granted a more lenient box office friendly 15 certificate. So Loach, whose new film is based in Glasgow, where the C word abounds, has been forced to excise the more aggressive uses of the word in order for his film to be a 15. He's rightly annoyed."
Regardless of the filmmakers' feelings about the nature of the cuts that were demanded of them, they chose to implement the necessary changes mandated by the BBFC, and cuts were made to the film's very strong language. Let's take a look at the cuts that were made to the film for its original UK cinema release. The BBFC state that there are 7 uses of the word cunt in the cut version and 15 in the uncut version. However, we counted 8 uses in the cut version. It's worth noting that in an interview with Empire magazine in 2012, Paul Laverty stated that the BBFC actually missed one further use of the word in the cut version, which would suggest that our count is accurate. Cutting Edge will be presenting clips in the following discussion with English subtitles for the benefit of our international viewers who may have trouble understanding the thick Scottish accents. This was also undertaken for screenings of The Angel's Share in the United States, and it was met with Paul Laverty's approval. The first instances of censorship occur around 12 minutes into the film. After Robbie tries to see his newly born son in hospital, he is beaten up by his girlfriend's two uncles and her father, Matt. Afterwards, his community service officer, Harry, helps him tend to his wounds. The affected footage in the uncut version contains two uses of very strong language.
Alright. You in there, aye?
Been expecting you to turn up here.
Leave me. Look at that, we only want to see that. Right, fucking leave me. Shut up.
I tell you what, come back to mine. Eh? We'll get you cleaned up properly and you can calm down, eh?
Fucking cunt smashed my phone, man.
For the 15 version, the word cunt was simply snipped out of the partially off-screen dialogue in both instances.
Alright. You in there, aye?
Been expecting you to turn up here.
Leave me. Look at that, we only want to see that. Right, fucking leave me. Shut up.
I tell you what, come back to mine. Eh? We'll get you cleaned up properly and you can calm down, eh?
Fucking smashed my phone, man.
The third cut occurs during a flashback scene where one of Robbie's victims recounts the events of the night Robbie assaulted him. One line from Robbie was affected in this instance.
We were just parking. I guess I swerved in quite quickly.
The cut version simply mutes Robbie's line.
We were just parking. I guess I swerved in quite quickly.
Another instance of censorship occurs around 42 minutes into the film, after Robbie flees from his old enemy Clancy, who shouts out at Robbie in the street. The last part of Clancy's dialogue was partially muted for the 15 version. A few moments later, Clancy and his boys shout at Robbie again after Matt helps Robbie escape from the confrontation in the street. The exact dialogue is difficult to discern, but the uncut version features a further two uses of the word cunt. In the censored version, the dialogue is, once again, partially muted.
Clancy! Get a leash on those bastards!
Another instance of censorship occurs after Robbie's confrontation with Sniper, one of Clancy's associates, who has followed Robbie and his girlfriend to their new flat. Following Robbie's threatening of Sniper with a knife, Robbie takes Sniper's cell phone.
You fucking ruined everything for me now. You're fucking lucky, Sniper. You're lucky I'm not taking your fucking eye out right now. Stay there and fucking follow me, prick.
Give me my fucking phone back!
Fuck you, cunt.
For the 15 version, the word cunt was dropped from the end of Robbie's insult, although we can still see his lips mouthing the word at the left of the frame.
You're fucking lucky, Sniper. You're lucky I'm not taking your fucking eye out right now. Stay there and fucking follow me, prick.
Give me my fucking phone back!
Fuck you.
A further cut to language occurs around 70 minutes into the film, where Robbie explains to his friends about his plan to steal the whiskey. The uncut version plays as follows, with the following throwaway use of the word cunt.
Listen, during the tasting, everybody's eyes are going to be glued to the master, right? So, when we go in, yous will cover me. No cunt will seize. I'll simply drift in behind the barrels, Right?
In the 15 version, the words "no cunt will see us" were changed to "no one will see us." This is perhaps the most obvious instance of censorship in the cut version, as the dialogue sounds a little choppy.
During the tasting, everybody's eyes are going to be glued to the master. Right? So, when we go in, you'll cover me. Nothing into says. I'll simply drift in behind the barrels. Right?
Following changes mandated by the BBFC, The Angel's Share was past 15 for a cinema release on May the 16th, 2012, with the board noting that the film contains very strong language and strong violence. In addition, the board stated,
Company chose to reduce the number of uses of very strong language in order to obtain a 15 classification. Cuts made in accordance with BBFC guidelines and policy.
Justifying their decision, the BBFC went on to say that
the film contains multiple uses of strong language throughout, and 7 clear uses of very strong language. A single aggressive use of very strong language occurs when the central character is confronted by members of a gang in a pool hall. The use occurs amidst angry shouting as he attempts to stand up for himself. Other aggressive uses of very strong language that were originally present have been dubbed out. The other instances of non-aggressive very strong language tend to be used in a throwaway manner and often occur during remarks between friends.
the cut 15 version was later released on DVD in the UK, but the original uncut version was passed with an 18 rating on August the 15th, 2012. The BBFC note on their website that
this version of the film reinstates all the language that was cut from the cinema release and has been rated 18 for very strong language. The film contains 15 clear uses of very strong language, a number of which are aggressive and directed.
The uncut version was released solely on Blu-ray in the UK, which was marketed as the original 100% proof edition in order to differentiate it from the censored theatrical version. British fans of the film seeking the uncut version can pick up this UK Blu-ray, safe in the knowledge that they are seeing Ken Loach's original version of the film. American viewers can pick up the same uncut version on DVD, which is unrated due to the fact that the film was not submitted to the MPAA for classification. Other countries around the world also carry the uncut version on DVD and Blu-ray, including Australia, where the film is rated MA15+ for strong coarse language and violence. In closing, it may be worth mentioning that this is not the only time that Ken Loach has butted heads with the BBFC about bad language in his films. His 2002 film, Sweet 16, which is also set in Scotland, originally came into the BBFC with a request for a 15 certificate, but the board refused to issue such a certificate due to the film's use of around 20 uses of the word cunt. The BBFC explained the situation in their 2002 annual report, noting that
Loach maintained that the naturalistic dialogue would be familiar to 15-year-olds, for whom he felt the film had particular appeal. In exchanges with the distributor and director, the board explained that the frequency and tone of the language could neither be accommodated nor defended at 15 under its commitments to the public and the rest of the film industry in the board's guidelines.
Loach ultimately accepted an uncut 18 rating for Sweet 16, although 2 councils overruled the BBFC's rating, as is their right, and issued the film with a 15 rating. To hear Ken Loach and Paul Laverty speak about their opinions on working with the BBFC, viewers of Cutting Edge may wish to look up their video interview with Empire magazine from June 2012, which can be found on YouTube. It is an enlightening 6 minutes for sure.